Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another What I Eat in a Day video. Now today is obviously pregnancy edition. I am currently about 20 to 21 weeks. We're not fully sure about that. If you saw my 20-week scan or what we thought was my 20-week scan, then you've been filled in on all of the details. Either way, today I'm going to be showing you what I ate in a day. Now, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of my day revolves around eating food now, especially if I'm not nauseous. And on days when I'm feeling really good, I find myself actually getting pretty adventurous with the food that I make. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It not only helps to support my channel and lets me know what you like to see, but it also helps to grow our community. So with that being said, let's hop in. So on this morning, I had actually gone to sleep dreaming about making a veggie omelet. I haven't had an omelet in a really long time, and I was perusing Pinterest the night before in bed, like I frequently do. Pinterest is honestly one of my favorite websites, especially for food inspiration. I saw some yummy looking omelets, and so I just thought, okay, that's what I'm doing in the morning. So I fell asleep dreaming of it, woke up, still wanted it. So I started off by chopping up some white mushrooms and peeling some fresh garlic, and also using some leftover balsamic roasted Brussels sprouts that I had made the night before. Sometimes I put really just random things in my recipes based on what I have an excess of or what's left over in my fridge. I also decided to pull out these sun-dried tomatoes that I got from Costco that have been lasting me forever. Apparently I didn't need a Costco-sized jar of sun-dried tomatoes, but they're really good. So I chopped those up to add to the mix as well. Then I took some organic spinach and I kind of bunched that up and chopped it up. Then I made my way over to my pan and I added some Kerrygold butter to my pan, and then I threw in all of my veggies except for my spinach and my garlic, and then I added some salt and some pepper and allowed the veggies to just cook up for a little bit. Once they were like 70% of the way done, I crushed my garlic into the pan. Sometimes I like to add it at the end because I feel like when I add it first, it can almost burn. So closer to the end, I feel like it still releases the flavor. It tastes good, but it's not burnt. And then at the very end, I threw in my chopped up spinach to cook down just a little bit. Now today I am using some organic sprouted 7-grain bread that I had in the freezer left over from Trader Joe's. So I threw that in the toaster, and while that was toasting up, I took my veggies off of the pan, added a little bit of avocado oil, and then I took my 2 eggs that I had mixed up ahead of time. Side note, I actually think I prefer my omelets with 1 egg. I like the thinner texture of the omelet, but I've been trying to make sure I'm getting in enough pasture-raised eggs and protein into my diet while I'm pregnant as well. So I went with 2 eggs on this morning, and then I shredded a little bit of cheddar cheese and I put that down into the mixture right after I'd put the eggs on the pan. And then last but not least, I put my veggies back into half of the little circle on the pan because we are making an omelet, so I wanted to be able to fold it a little bit. My omelets are always so stuffed though. Can we just talk about that? Then I folded my omelet in half to the best of my ability. Yes, I know I'm not the greatest omelet maker, but I don't think it really matters because it all gets squished and is going the same place anyways. And it tastes delicious. And let's be real, guys, that's what really matters. Next up, I added some chopped spring onions onto the top of my omelet. Then I added a little bit of chunky salt to the top, which I will link down below because I get lots of questions about this salt. It's amazing. I actually just placed a new order for it last night. Oh, by the way, I did add some cilantro to the top of my omelet as well. And then I had it with my toast, some Kerrygold butter, and a chopped up pear that I bought at Costco. It was really good. And I had my 3 prenatal vitamins as well. I like these because they're organic and they contain iron in them. So later that day I wanted a snack and it was time for me to make my current favorite smoothie. So I didn't have my bananas frozen, but I actually ended up liking it this way. So I put my 2 bananas in, a scoop of the Vital Proteins collagen powder. I also added a scoop of the Amazing Greens green superfood in the chocolate flavor. This is basically just a bunch of dried greens. I also added some organic cacao powder. I love chocolate and I think organic cacao is very nutritional. And speaking of chocolate, I added some cacao nibs into the mix as well. Then I never know why I add this, but I just do. Maybe for extra peanut butter flavor, I did a little bit of PB2. And then I took a scoop of sprouted pumpkin seeds, ground flaxseed, and hemp hearts and added all of that to the mix as well. I added a dash of honey, as well as some organic MCT oil. I added a little bit of unsweetened vanilla almond milk, a scoop of organic creamy peanut butter. I know that this is crazy, but this was all really good. I also added a scoop of this full-fat organic plain Greek yogurt from Wallaby Organics. Then I added a bunch of ice cubes to the cup because the bananas weren't frozen and I wanted to make it cold and slushy. I did decide that I needed some more ice about halfway through the smoothie. I wanted it to be really cold, so I did that. Now I did realize at this point I forgot to add one of my new current favorite ingredients. Now I think this might be a pregnancy thing for me because I was never this much of a fan of cinnamon before, but I love cinnamon now, and so when I realized I didn't add it, I had to add some cinnamon to the mix as well. Now random, this isn't really like what I eat in a day because I didn't eat this next thing, but I thought I would include it because I made it the night before. Well, we made it the night before. We made this Cajun veggie creamy pasta and it's so good, but there's no way we could finish this all before it goes bad. So I decided to freeze it up. Now, spoiler alert, I filmed this like a week ago and we have eaten it out of the freezer since then and it thawed like amazingly. It was so good. This is kind of an adaptation on the Pioneer Woman's Cajun pasta, by the way, if you want to look it up. So for dinner that night, I decided to pull these 2 pizza crusts out of our freezer that we've had for a little while, a cauliflower pizza crust, as well as a red beet pizza crust. And then I had to snack on these hot Grillo's pickles while I was cooking. They're so good. I love this brand. The other thing I wanted to do while I was cooking was make a little bit of herbal tea. So I heated up my water, poured it in my giant polka dot mug, and then I put this true blueberry tea into the mug. Side note, I'm actually backing away from the Celestial Seasonings tea because their tea is not organic, so I'm trying to shift more that direction, but I still like their tea every once in a while. It's really good. If you're wondering, by the way, I had Roots and Refuge playing in the background on my iPad while I hung out. So I needed to pour a little bit of olive oil in a bowl on the side because I wanted to do an initial brush of olive oil on my pizza crusts. Then I took the rest of my leftover Brussels sprouts from the night before that I didn't use in my omelet that morning. I pulled those out and I basically just started chopping up all of the ingredients I thought I would need for my pizzas. So I pulled out some cherry tomatoes. I also pulled out another pear. Like I said, I had bought a bunch of pears from Costco, so I was just trying to figure out different ways to use them. So I diced up the pear, diced up the tomatoes, as well as the Brussels sprouts. Then I pulled out a white sweet Vidalia onion and I cut a couple onion slices for my toppings as well. I also peeled a couple of garlic cloves. I put fresh garlic on like basically everything I cook. I love it. And then it was time to construct my pizzas. So the first pizza, I took a little bit of this organic jarred pasta sauce that we had on hand from Costco, and I spread that on the crust. Then I took out my fresh mozzarella that I also had from Costco and I cut the circles. It already comes like pre-sliced, but I cut the pre-sliced circles in half. And then I just placed the mozzarella wherever I wanted to on the pizza. Then I took my cherry tomato slices and I added those to the pizza as well. Then I also added my leftover Brussels sprouts, my diced onion, and I pressed the garlic for the top of the pizza as well. And that, my friends, was pizza number 1. Now for pizza number 2, which I thought was going to be a bomb and was actually amazing, I put my pear slices on top of the pizza. I had no sauce because I had the olive oil. I added some sliced onions, which I wish that I had caramelized them ahead of time, but that's fine. Then I added some honey, I think they call it chèvre, goat cheese, to the top. Yes, I am still eating soft cheeses that I deem high quality. I will be talking about that in an upcoming pregnancy nutrition video that I am hoping to make soon. And then I threw the pizzas into the oven. Now, while the pizzas were cooking, I decided to make a side salad. So I chopped up my butter leaf lettuce and threw it into a bowl. And then I actually set that aside because I decided to make a bread recipe that I had found on Pinterest. They were touting this as kind of fail-proof. And I have to say, as someone who's slowly going into the world of bread making, there is no such thing as fail-proof. Because yes, it might be edible, which all of the bread I've ever made has been edible, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily delicious. It's okay because it's homemade, but I tend to have my own struggles, like the bread being too thick or not cooked quite enough. So I started working on that, and then at this point, my pizza was actually ready to come out of the oven. So I added some balsamic vinegar to the pear pizza, which this probably should have been balsamic glaze, but I didn't have any on hand and I was feeling too lazy to make it. And then I dressed my side salad with a little bit of olive oil, some fresh squeezed lemon juice. By the way, to anyone who is considering a lemon press, yes, it is the best thing ever. All lemon presses kind of suck to a degree if you're pressing lemons all the time, like they end up kind of warping, but you still get so much more juice using a lemon press, in my opinion. Then I added a little bit more of that infamous chunky salt. I tossed the salad together and it was ready to go. I'm definitely a flavor combiner. I mean, clearly you can tell by the way that I cook, but I even like going back and forth in like dishes. Like I like having a bite of pizza and then a bite of salad. I like having each flavor like cut the other flavor out and almost like start my taste buds from scratch. I don't know. So I cut up the pizza and we dove in, and Dan loved this pear pizza, by the way. Can I just throw that out there? Now, once we were done eating, which we kind of ate standing because it was a little bit later. I don't know if you saw the clock. It was like 9 o'clock at this point. I really wanted to get back to my bread making. So I did the rest of the recipe in the bowl. And as I was saying, this is kind of marketed as foolproof. And I don't think there's such a thing. And now I'm kind of starting to study like different tips of things that people do to make their bread airier. That tends to be my problem. My bread tends to be too dense. So feel free to leave all of your tips down below. The main things that I want to try to implement next time are letting my dough rise for a longer period of time. Also letting my dough be a little wetter and stickier. That's another thing that I think can kind of help with that problem. And honestly, I don't even remember the other ones. Those were the two that like really stuck with me for my next time that I make bread. I did decide at the last minute, by the way, to add some dried rosemary leaves to the top of the bread while it sat to rise. And then I also took this opportunity to take more vitamins. So I took my Juice Plus vitamins, my vitamin C, and some sulfurzyme, which is basically MSM. I also had a couple of these peanut butter dark chocolate pieces while I was waiting for my bread to rise. Yes, they're amazing. And then about a half hour later, because that was the length of time that the Pinterest post said, like, this is all you have to do. Like I said, next time I would let it rise longer. But after a half hour, I pulled it out and I put it on the back of a cookie sheet with some baking paper, and I made some slices on the top of the bread. Then I threw the bread in the oven. I don't remember the temperature, but I let it cook for 18 minutes. You can go onto my Pinterest and check out my food board, and everything that I've ever used, you know, this recipe or other recipes I've made or altered from. That's really what it is. I tend to get inspiration from other people. It's all on my Pinterest. Now, I'm not gonna lie, if it looks good, that is because it was still good. Now, I actually didn't have any until the next morning because I wanted to let it cool, and then I put it in a bag for the night, which that's another thing. I would love to know your favorite way to store bread, especially homemade bread, because I'm still not sure. Do I need to get like a bread box? Like, I've just been putting them in plastic baggies. But I cut 2 slices on this morning for breakfast, and I threw the toast in the toaster. Yes, by the way, I realized this is like an entirely another like what I eat in a day video now, but I felt like I needed to include this because it was like still part of the same recipe basically. So yes, bread storage. If you have specific suggestions, feel free to let me know. I'm really not sure. I don't want my bread to dry out, but sometimes it gets too moist in a plastic bag. So while my bread was toasting, which like I said was good, but was definitely too dense, I cut open an avocado and a lemon, and then when my toast came up, I buttered it with my favorite Kerrygold butter. I am very liberal with Kerrygold butter. I think it's like one of the highest quality, best butters you can buy. And I think depending on the person's individual, you know, nutritional needs, it's really good for you. And I especially feel that way now that I am growing baby P. Once again, I keep making references to this pregnancy nutrition video, but I've done a lot of research and I am pretty cognizant of what I eat. So I want to share with you guys like what I've been reading and all of that. So yes, lots of Kerrygold butter, lots of avocado, and then I plated my toast and I added some fresh squeezed lemon juice because you know how we do up in here. Then I added a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt, as well as some more of that, I think we're gonna call it chèvre. Do I sound sophisticated that way? Some chèvre goat cheese. I probably sound the opposite of sophisticated because that's probably not even how you say that, but it's basically goat cheese that has been like infused, I guess, with honey. Then I added some red chili flakes on top, as well as a little bit of organic extra virgin olive oil. And then I just can't forget that chunky salt. No, so good. And that was my breakfast. And like I said, even though the bread was dense, it was still really tasty, as you can probably tell by looking at it. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope that you liked it. If you did, like I said, please give it a thumbs up. It not only helps me know what you like seeing, but it's also a way for you to support my channel, and I appreciate it so much. Also, if you missed my last video, it was our 20-week scan, literally hours before we found out the gender of baby P. I'm still tripping out. And then the last 2 things. 1, if you didn't already know, I am on Patreon now, so I will be uploading bonus exclusive content over there. And as of now, you can subscribe and support me for as little as $1 a month. And then last but not least, if you made it this far, go check the info box because I'm doing a giveaway for all of the people that care to stay to the end of my videos and hear my voice or check my info box. So I will hopefully see you guys back here soon. Have a great rest of your day. And yeah, bye guys.